that are inorganic, they're solvable. At least we should all be working to solve them. Even if they're not our problems directly, we're all affected through osmosis. You got to care about the least of men. Okay, if we're not doing that, we're not going to ever find true happiness because that's granted from on high. You understand? God gives that out. And if we're saying it's okay, we're indifferent about other people's suffering, we say, well, pull yourself up by your bootstraps and all this crap. When we have no idea, we haven't walked a mile in their shoes. We don't know what it's like to be them. And we got no business judging them because with the measure we judge others, we too shall be judged. No, our job is to think of them as our own children, as Jesus Christ, as our brother or our sister, and caring that much, being affected personally and individually, understanding that's osmotic. Those are osmotic scientific principles, a fail-safe God built in. It pertains to our conscience, and our conscience pertains to our soul, and that pertains to our values and where we're going from here, and if we're on the same page with our owner, if we see through his eyes what it's all about. So go forth, be fruitful and multiply. That's a command, one of the first commands. The first one, of course, was don't eat that from that fruit, that one thing. And our ancestors failed, and it's in our DNA now, known as death, the death gene. That's where it came from. Well, what do you think? You think, oh, well, we need a circle of life, and if people didn't die and animals didn't die, everything would get overpopulated. Where's your faith? The faith of a freaking mustard seed tells you, well, God's in control of fertility, and he pulls a fertility plug. That's simple. One more freaking miracle for God, but you can't believe that? That when the earth is populated to God's satisfaction, he pulls the plug? No, you concentrate on taking care of each and every person out there. And let the chips fall where they may. End of story. So the reason I had digressed earlier, I was just pointing out where I went crazy. Okay, it started very young for me, personally. So that's I think some of my personal problems stem from. And maybe even before that, because I'll tell you the story. When I was born in 1958, apparently it was chic, to not breastfeed your kid, to put them on formula. So I never got any breast milk growing up. I think that put me at a huge disadvantage. I really do. I really do. Biologically, I think that really, really hurts a person. And my mom, I don't know if she ever really came to understand that. So that put me behind the 8 ball from a very early age. But, God's a gracious God. And, most people that are fed formula, if it's not toxic formula at least, they turn out okay. I mean, we can mimic, mother's milk to some degree, the nutrients therein. So... But then when I was 5, I remember walking home from kindergarten, living in Manhattan Beach in Southern California, and all these people rushing out of their houses, weeping and wailing. Oh, my God. The world was coming to an end. I thought maybe, because I heard of nuclear bombs, and I knew a little, you see stuff, you hear stuff, you get educated, you're a kid, but you're 5, but you still, you're pretty smart. Humans are incredible creatures. Godlike creatures, man. With virtually unlimited intelligence and imagination. But that freaked me out pretty bad. So I've been freaked out for a long time, man. I wonder where, my mental illness comes from. Your mental illness, trace it back, childhood trauma. I mean, I saw stuff at home. My dad was very unstable. He had multiple sclerosis in his 30s, early 30s. It's a brain, it's spinal disorders. And neurological disorder, and you get intense mood swings. He was a very intense guy. I saw some little bit of stuff I don't even like to talk about at home. That it's traumatizing to the children, and it was just my dad acting out. But you had to have some empathy, and for a guy that's suffering that wildly, my mom was very forbearing with him, and she was a saint in that sense. But yeah, he was tough. I'll bet he was a hell of a husband, to live with. But, former Marine, tough guy. Boxer in the Marine Corps. They got the nickname of Nails Credit. He had a lot of ego. I don't know if he was aware of it, but he kind of made him really kind of a badass, but later in life he turned out to be a lot more spiritual. And I mean, he tried to be spiritual. I remember took the whole family to Catholic church when I was a kid. My oldest sister had made her Holy Communion. Pictures of me in my little suit and hat and looking all dapper as a little boy. I remember going to Catholic church down in Southern California. My mom's mom, an immigrant from Croatia, lived in East LA in Maywood. She was a landlord down there. And so I've got some childhood memories from that era. I was born also in North Hollywood, 1958, at the Queen of Angels Hospital. But my trauma in life started very young, friends, and yours probably did too. And I want to help you sort it out. Listen, there's organic stuff. All we can do is turn to God for that. The sun is too bright. I hate stinging insects. You have no idea how many ants I've had to contend with around where I am. Listen, it's just one thing after another, isn't it? Right? I mean, diseases. COVID is just one of a plethora of diseases we can be subjected to, right? But all my time I got to be sucked into this thing like it's the end of the freaking world. Let me freaking die, man. If you're worried, get a vaccine if you believe in that, or stay away from me, or cover yourself. And you know what I mean? It just, please, for God's sake, that's just one freaking disease out of freaking millions, probably millions that we could get. And in the meanwhile, there's all these freaking, I could get bit by a rattlesnake and die, or a freaking black widow, or a hornet, okay? I could die of heat stroke. A tree could fall on me. I could get in a car accident. You say, well, how is that organic suffering? Well, gravity, okay, because God owns the gravity dial and he just turns it down, not so we're floating away into space, but just so it's not lethal anymore. And that day is coming. Jesus refers to it as a renewal of not some things, all things. No more thorns on roses. I hate them. As a landscaper, I hate them. You have no idea how many times I've been poked. I've gotten pretty good at it, though, because I hate pain. I'm not a masochist. Sometimes I think, there are sadistic people out there. Okay, there are people that take pleasure in other people's pain. Sometimes I wonder about some of these meteorologists out there, the weather people, okay, because I wonder why they're not divulging to people. Today's the 12th, we're already 6 weeks into shorter days. The summer solstice was around the 20th or so of June, and the days are getting shorter. So the endurance, even though we're looking at hundreds all week, and the news reporter has a smirk on the face, these people know well about winter solstices and summer solstices, which was the name of my dad's sailboat, the one I sailed around the Mediterranean. I've been to Spain, Italy, Ibiza, Spain, and places that you probably never, Puerto de Solier. I mean, you talk about a beautiful place in Spain. I've been to a bullfight in Mallorca. The child did a lot of really cool stuff on that boat, Solstice, 25-foot sailboat, the one I thought I was going to die in the English Channel when I was 9. I expected to die. I mean, the idea that I survived, I mean, PTSD was tattooed in my brain at that point. After the fire, I almost started, and then, the amount of adrenaline and trauma that caused a 7 or 8-year-old, I can't remember how old I was, but that, and then, just lots of stuff, man. I've been in motorcycle accidents. I've seen terrible car accidents. I've been traumatized roundly. I saw a guy get run over and killed when I was 16, right in front of me. I saw the whole thing, man. And it's messed up. You don't ever want to see that. But anyhow, friends, okay, the organic stuff, we got to turn to God for help to change, okay? And the worst organic thing, the one I hate the most, that we all have to face, so you learn a lot of empathy as you get older, is death. That's bad. I mean, who could say that's not bad? But yet, a lot of people, they rationalize and they justify in their mind. Well, you know what? I mean, circle of life, and we all got to die. And yeah, it's very scientific and dry. But you know what? I turn to Scripture and say, why is this? If God's all powerful and all loving, why do I have to die? This blows chunks, man. And we don't. We find out we don't. That the body accounts for nothing. Okay, the body is separate from your essence. Your essence, your heart, your mind, your spirit, your soul. Those things are eternal. God doesn't let us die. We can't really kill each other. Why believe in capital punishment when you can't really kill somebody? Okay, that's an illusion. It says, we can't be cowards because, don't fear those that can kill the body. You speak truth to power. You don't worry about the implications of that. Even if they kill you, they hate you so much for spreading truth. Trying to enlighten people, get them to think a different way, to think way outside the box from God's point of view and look at stuff and how different this world would be if God was in control, when God is in control, and that there can't be any form of money because it too easily corrupts the hearts and minds of men all through history. You could trace it all back through history. It's true. Look at the stuff that it spurs people to do. And you tell me that someday we're going to learn to contend with it. We're going to learn how to, we're going to make it. Someday you just keep beating your head against the wall. You keep believing that. I'll believe otherwise. I believe that God's point of view is this is his planet. We are to share it equally as one big family. And then you see the pointlessness of any form of money, how that could work. See, money's evil men's delight. Okay, they love all the accoutrements that come with it, like the power and everything else. You make a list, all the material things, the control, all that stuff. They love controlling the purse strings, and that's the way this world is being controlled right now. And it must come to an end, and it will come to an end only in God's time, but you can work to change it. That's inorganic, artificial, invented suffering that we must work to change, otherwise we're complicit. Silence equals death. Okay, inaction is a very powerful form of action. So none of us are off the hook. We're all without excuse. The only reason you choose ignorance is because you choose ignorance and disempowerment, not to have knowledge. So you think, well, just by not knowing that I get to skate, but on the day of reckoning, which might be today, you'll have to explain your inaction, okay? Your values or lack of values, proper values. So I'm everybody's friend. I'm on everybody's side. But it's serious. It's a very serious matter of where we go from here. That's called salvation. And you can only turn to God. Nobody else can save your life, but God can. If we turn to him, if we get right with him, we have reason to believe on good scientific grounds, because you got to believe somebody. The scientists can't explain everything. There's a lot of mystery, a lot of miracles. They open one door, and there's 10 more staring them in the face. That's the way it is. They know. The smart scientists all believe in creation in my mind. It's the only logical conclusion. So you are a created being. Therefore, you are owned by that created being. And we've got to know that we're going to be held accountable for the way we live our lives, our values. Are they proper and right? Are you somebody that loves money because it gives you an advantage? You love that advantage. It takes you out of financial fear. You love that security. It gives you freedom. You love that financial freedom. Prosperity, notoriety, reverence, respect from society. You get vaunted and extolled. You get all the accolades and the fame, and you're on TMZ. You've arrived. You're somebody. It's so sick. It's so twisted. It's so antithetical to the heart and mind and spirit of God, like it's written. The things highly valued among men are detestable inside of God. We're going to vaunt these people, these multi-billionaires. Well, we've got better men and women than them dying needlessly. Needlessly. That's key to understand. It's needless. Nobody can refute that fact. On the streets, suffering needlessly and dying, while we're willing to spend almost $100,000 a year per criminal, per year in California. Rapists, murderers, child molesters. You're willing to spend that as a taxpayer, but if you're not a criminal, no soup for you. You're just, I'm sorry, you're drinking. Oh, you're on drugs. Oh, I got it. You're lazy. Oh, you're just stupid. You're just yeah, I use that in my mind. I'm going to the mall now. In our communities, we're stinking thinking, man. It's sick. We're sick. How can we not be? Because all the crap's is trickling down from on high. I mean, ask yourself, how many turds in a punch bowl does it take to make the punch inconsumable? Okay, one. right? One. That's how it is. So how many thieves would it take for us all to have to carry keys, which affects us all in a very profound way? That's a big deal. That's a pain in the butt. It's real sense of stress for us all. One freaking criminal, one thief in the entire planet, okay, is enough for us all to have to carry keys around. One turd in the punch bowl. How big a spark does it take to burn down an enormous forest? One tiny